The iPhone 12 mini is no doubt the best small iPhone Apple's released in years, but in terms of its battery life, the 2,227 mAh capacity doesn't inspire a whole lot of confidence. The standard iPhone 12's battery is over 25% larger than that, and while the mini does have a smaller screen, which should consume less power than the 12's larger screen, I don't know if that'll be enough to make this battery test even remotely close, but hey, let's find out. Alright, we'll start things off in the phone app, where after going on a 1-hour phone call, the iPhone 12 mini drops all the way down to 94, while the standard iPhone 12 only drops to 98. Now, the screens were off for the majority of that phone test though, meaning the smaller screen on the iPhone 12 wasn't able to help make up for its smaller battery. But here in the messaging test, this time the screens are on for the entire test. They've both been calibrated to the same brightness level of 200 nits, and after 1 hour of texting back and forth, the two phones perform identically, with each dropping by 10%. Now, that could have just been a fluke. We'll see if the same thing happens here in the email test, where we're not doing anything too intensive. We're just opening and scrolling through the same set of emails, where 1 hour later, we get the same result. The two phones again perform identically, which I really wasn't expecting. I kind of figured that the smaller screen on the mini would help lower its power consumption and kind of make up for the smaller battery, but I didn't think it would cancel it out completely. However, things could be different here in the browser test because unlike the messaging and the email tests, this test is more processor intensive. The screen isn't the only big factor here, with each phone's A14 Bionic chip actually being put to work, having to load up the same set of websites, where 1 hour later, this time the iPhone 12 mini does do worse, dropping by 12% compared to the 9% drop on the standard iPhone 12. So at least so far, it looks like when the display is the only big factor in a test, the smaller screen on the mini helps make up for the smaller battery almost perfectly. But when other factors are present, like the modem in the earpiece in the phone test, or the processor in the browser test, the smaller battery capacity on the mini starts to hurt it. Here on Instagram, the speakers are on mute and we're not doing anything too intensive. We're just scrolling through the home feed like you would in real life, so I expect a similar result, where 1 hour later, that's exactly what we get, with both phones dropping by an equal 9%. So going into the standby test here, the mini is only 8 points behind. Those 8 points came from just 2 out of the 5 tests, but with the screens off for 16 hours in standby, it falls even further behind, with the standard iPhone 12's bigger battery helping it improve its lead to a full 10 percentage points. Here on YouTube, the speakers are on this time, with them calibrated to the same decibel counts, where that extra work of powering the speakers hurt the mini, with it falling another 4 points behind. And things may get even worse for the mini here in the gaming test, where not only are the speakers on, but this time the game will be taxing the processors as well, where 1 hour later, the mini drops below that 10% mark, with it only having 8% left compared to the healthy 25% on the standard iPhone 12. So a big difference going into the maps test, where while the speakers aren't active here, the other sensors like the phone's GPS and compass are active, where after just 40 minutes of simulated navigation, that 8% on the mini drains completely, while the standard iPhone 12 is at a calculated 18%. So while the mini did well in some tests where the display was the only real factor, overall, the smaller battery capacity really hurt it. Having 18% on one phone and 0 on another is a pretty significant difference, enough for the iPhone 12 to finish the maps test with 15% battery remaining, which allows it to go through an entire hour of Spotify with still 2% left. Meaning the iPhone 12 made it to the Snapchat test, the most intensive test in this entire battery comparison, although it only lasted for a minute and a half, bringing the standard iPhone 12's total time to 25 hours and 1 minute, while the mini lasted 1 hour and 21 minutes less at 23 hours and 40 minutes. Overall, I would say it's not too bad for the mini given how small the phone is, but a clear win for the iPhone 12 in this battery test.